always been a 55 guy. The Tri-Five, this was the first one. This is the first one they made. It's a little more simple and subtle compared to the other two. American Graffiti, Two-Lane Blacktop, those two movies alone was like, oh, the 55, yeah, you have to have a 55 Chevy. It was the baddest car on the planet. Shane McMullen, and I have a hot rod shop in Fresno and build cars. At a young age, I think I was just hooked on cars immediately. I was surrounded by it with my dad and my grandfather. They both were into cars, motorcycles, building stuff. Both my parents moved to Fresno in the 70s. My mom was from Southern California. My dad was from West Virginia. I think obviously I wasn't around, but from what I've seen, the 70s car culture was pretty cool at the time in Fresno. There was a lot going on here. There was a lot of hot rodding, chopper building. There were some cool styles I think that we kind of started around here. And you can look through like Hot Rod Magazine, Easy Rider. You can see a lot of the stuff came out from Central California. So I think the style was, it was evolving from like 60s hot rods in the 70s. So you're seeing a lot of like true spoke wire wheels and T-buckets and long choppers, and yeah, it was that kind of style around then. As soon as I could drive my own car, I always worked on my own cars, and I had friends that we always worked on our own cars. We'd always cut them up and lower them or do something to them. It's all I've really ever done. I've all ever wanted to do. I wasn't into sports or anything, so it was just cars. It was just cars. I did it in high schoal for fun, and I would do it for a little side cash, work on someone's car for a little bit extra money, and then I didn't really think it would turn into like a career or a job or anything. I just always just did it. As I just kept working in like weld shops, fab shops, the whole hot rod scene it's always grown. It's just grown, and then the quality of car got a lot better, and all of these things kind of that I was doing helped out with that. I got better at welding and fabricating, and I adapted that to cars, and it turned into, well, do you want to come work at this shop? And I worked at hot rod shops since right out of high school, and then now it's, I have my own shop now, and that led me to, getting this 55 behind me. I've always been a 55 guy. I never really cared for the 57, even though I've owned one. I mean, I like them all. I do. The 5, 6, and 7s, I like them all, done upright, but the 55 is my favorite. They're simple, they're a box, they're square. 57s have fins. That's kind of the whole era, the fin era of the 50s and all that. This is right before it, and 55 was the first, like the Tri-Five, this was the first one. This was the first one they made, so like, it's a little more simple and subtle compared to the other two. The lines on it are cool. They're, like I said, they're more square. The grille's kind of a square opening. The rear wheel opening square, the front square. They're just simple. They're just a box. They look good. I don't care how you build them. They just look good. Like, it doesn't matter what color, wheels. I mean, they all look good. I was looking for a sedan. I wanted a 50 sedan. I really wanted a 55. My friend Gil, that owns Hot Rod Ranch, he had a 57 for sale. Struck a deal and I ended up buying it, and it was an old race car from the 60s and 70s. Like, the whole feel of the car is what I wanted. It was old lacquer paint job. It had a cool just stamp to it, wheels. I got the car and I realized real quick it was a little too much race car. It was geared so low, you couldn't, cruising around town you're going 40. It was really cool, but that coolness wore off real quick when you drove it. So I was in the middle of making it more street friendly when this thing came up, and that was when I sold the 57 to buy this one. This 55, it is a barn find. It's what you'd call a barn find. It was literally found in a barn. It was in a barn for 30-something years. So it was preserved. It was a one-owner car. A lady owned it, so it was never hot rodded. It was just a bone stock 55. Still has original paint, majority of original interior in it, original glass. Yeah, you can see this is all the original paint that's still on the car. pretty well preserved, other than like it's got like, you know, rub through from wiping it down, and you can see the stuff's all coming out of it, but it gives it a lot of character. Like just this, like when it wears out right here, you know, it's from like slamming the door. You know, you're doing this and wore the paint off. Like you'll never get that again unless you repaint it and do all that again. But you can kind of see the interior. It's pretty much original, except like the seat had recovered in the carpet, but the door panels, the dash, everything's all like it was back then. You can see like the service tags still. 1965 right there. There's certain parts on this car that I see and they just remind me of certain things, like that tack. This tack is from a buddy, and this cable is from another buddy that had his grandfather had a really cool engine shop, and that's the cable from his grandpa's dyno shop. The guy I sold it to, we became friends, and he's like, hey, I don't want these wheels, I'm gonna put something else on them. He's like, I'll trade you. So these wheels are like off my old race car in 1967. They're stamped on the back, and they got like the perfect amount of like patina that matches the rest of the car. You couldn't get any better than that. And they're on bias plies and slicks, exactly what I wanted. That's what makes this car cool. And to me, there's like a story behind almost everything. The headers, I found the headers in an alley behind my grandpa's house, and we were moving them up to Fresno. I'm like, these look cool. I know they're a big block Chevy. And I brought them home. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. They actually fit my car. And I don't know, it's just weird. I thought that was cool. You're never gonna see another one that looks like this. It's its own car. Oh, one of my favorite things is this. It's a Square Dancers logo on the, I don't know, it was on the car when I got it. It had a AAA, obviously you can tell it's a AAA, and Square Dancers. I was like, dude, I love it. That's so cool. I'm never getting rid of that sticker. I hope I don't ever replace the front windshield, because I don't want to let that go. I like that so much. You have the time capsule. You only get that one time. You can't do that again unless it sits for another 60 years. It was in such good shape. It had zero rust. The paint wasn't falling off of it. It's got patina. It's got, you know, the paint's worn through in some areas, but that's what I wanted. It shows its age, and I couldn't come to making a modern car out of it. For the most part, on the car, everything's pre-1970, and that's what I wanted. You can build a car today and build it modern. You can use a catalog, you can buy everything brand new, which is cool. And for a lot of guys, it's super convenient, and it just goes to show like hot rodding's evolved to that point where you can build a brand new car out of a catalog, and you can have a brand new 57 Chevy, brand new 55 Chevy. But to build a car traditionally is tough. It's a challenge. You're finding these parts, you're tracking these parts down. It's a hunt, it's a chase. You'll look through old magazines to see how they routed their fuel lines, or how they made this, or how they made that. Now you can do it to your car, but you got to go find all the pieces to make that happen. And that's the part that's really fun to me. And it's like, I've met so many guys along the way that I've never even met in person, but I talk to on the phone just because of these types of cars. You know, I got a friend in New York that found the intake manifold on this car for me, and I bought it. And then I got a friend in LA that found the rear end on this car, and I bought it. It's a really cool community when it comes to traditional hot rodding. And the guys we all think the same. We all feel the same way about our cars. We're all in it for the same reason. We can meet each other and we're friends immediately. It's weird how it works, but it's really cool at the same time. So this is a 1955 Chevy 210. It's a barn find. I put a big block Chevy in it, 4-speed trans. Olds were in. A lot of traditional parts that went into this car to make it what it is. When it came up, it was perfect, exactly what I wanted. Me and my wife drive it, enjoy it, and I really enjoy this car a lot, so it'll probably be in my life for a long time.